Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
Band from Ringside.
Tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast, we have your WWE Bad Blood results. Punk and McIntyre put on a Hell in a Cell for the ages. We're building towards Cody and Gunther at Crown Jewel. NXT crowns a new North American champion. Obafemi drops it. And your WrestleDream predictions. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Band from Ringside podcast.
WWE. All about the STL, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Shit.
Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Mark. So welcome to the Band from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. JF Kayfabe. And sitting directly across from me, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
Oh, shit. That's good. Spit your flow. Get your dough. Can't fuck with this BFR shit, though. And on that lovely note, I'll ask the congregation to bow their heads as I read from the greatest edition of the Band from Ringside podcast, volume 381, chapter 3, verse 14, and the good smart saith, hashtag boo the heels. It's all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat the holy trinity of BFR. Another loaded wrestling week. Predictions on the back end. Hopefully somebody on the west side has walked in safely and can now possibly talk.
And out there in Portland, Oregon, we have Two Beer Zach Pullman. What's going on, Two Beer Zach?
BFR West in the house.
Shout out to Luchasaurus. I hope he's doing well. I know it's tough being 65 million years old. Shit just breaks down. I get it, brother. I'm 39, years in Christ, and it's really breaking down now. So 65 million is rough. So I hope you're doing well.
How bad of shape is Luchasaurus actually in?
Pneumonia.
Yeah, I heard.
It's not good. It's like he's got tough lung situation. It's not good. I don't know if it's like a Brody Lee situation, but he could have some ongoing effects where it's nobody knows, but it's not looking good for him in his long-term career. So I hope he's able to continue to entertain us and make a living for him and his family.
Well, that's a pretty exciting start to the show.
Anyway. I'm good for that, always.
He's back.
No Vice this week, but we do welcome Zach back. Welcome back into the fold. We missed you last week. Like Jason said, we have a ton of wrestling to talk about. We have a pay-per-view at the beginning to discuss the results. We have a pay-per-view at the end to make our predictions. Zach made up some ground in this week's predictions. Other people lost some ground this week in predictions. I'm not going to say who it was, but Zach made some ground, and Jason did okay, too. So somebody didn't have the best week when it came to predictions. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Without further ado, let's get to that. 3 counts.
The unknown predictor.
JCB, kick it off.
Let's talk about said show. Bad Blood emanating from Atlanta, GA, 5-card match or 5-card lineup. A Bill Vagey special, dare I say, goes back to the NXT Triple H days, but neither here nor there. It opens with a banger. Much anticipated match, and the hype, I think, in this case, just doesn't live up to what actually happened in the match itself. It opens with Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk, Part 3, Hell in a Cell. Obviously, some people do like Hell in a Cell. I like Hell in a Cell across the board, even when it was all Hell in a Cell matches. It's fine. I like the concept of it. You know, a person like me likes to see somebody get raked across the cage, thrown into it, all kinds of inventive shit. It does get stale if you do it too many times, so it feels like this was the right place, right time. And like I said, for me, I thought it blew away all expectations. Parts of me thought back to, at least compared it, better choice of words, to Swerve and Hangman Page. It's kind of hard not to. Not as cringy, I thought, but still very physical and to the point where they use different props. Instead of a syringe, they use the broken up bracelets or whatever, broken up bracelet parts, whatever you want to call it. So in that scenario, you can just decide for yourself which one was better. For me, I'm not sure if this sways me more so to my thought process of Punk versus McIntyre being feud of the year, but it definitely put some gasoline on it. I thought this was very well done from start to finish. Punk winning is not the end of the world, especially what we see on Monday night where his future seems to be in doubt. He's not sure whether or not he wants to come back. I'm sure he will. He just takes some time off until Royal Rumble. He'll make his triumphant return or some time before that. Neither here nor there. I thought both guys came out looking better than they walked into it. And for me, the way I've been tooting the Drew McIntyre horn for the past few months, I think that speaks volumes. This was an incredible Hell in a Cell match, probably one of the best ones I've seen in a long, long time, if not ever. The original, I think it was to the day of Bad Blood on Saturday. If that's the case, if I heard it right, it did the original Hell in a Cell, HBK versus Taker here in St. Louis, all the credit and then some.
Zach, what did you think?
Yeah, I went in with a pretty high expectation for this match because of the build. Legitimately, last year was the Sami Zayn Roman Reigns story. This year, realistically, has been the Drew McIntyre CM Punk story. Even with its negatives, like specifying like on a bracelet, it's really been kind of the tune-in situation for feuds this year. This was fantastic. It was also kind of gross. I love what they did. This was Hell in a Cell. This is exactly what it should be. I feel like 2019 to, early 2020s, we had Hell in a Cell, and it was just like whatever feud seemed hot at the time. This was legitimately Hell in a Cell, and it felt like these guys really had bad blood between them, and the blood was called for. And at the same time, some of this stuff was just wild, like CM Punk smacking Drew McIntyre with that toolbox and like busting him open to where like the blood just was coming out like a fountain. Just absolutely wild. But
you could see it you could see the blood beating with his heart. You could see you could see the pulse of blood coming out of his forehead. It was disgusting.
It was wild, and I don't know. It is a contender for best Hell in a Cell match of all time for sure. And I don't know that I can give it any more high praise than that.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, and maybe this is indicative of the Hunter era, but I mean, this was a Hell in a Cell. It wasn't a whole pay-per-view built around Hell in a Cell where they had to shoehorn a feud into it. It was a blood feud between two guys that, kayfabe style, hate each other, and it made sense for this point in the story. Additionally, the match made sense for this part of the story. There were no tricks, really, no crazy we're climbing up to the top of the cage tricks, which I always appreciate. It just they didn't need it here.
Nope.
Some of the spots were absolutely brutal, none less than McIntyre missing the Claymore and landing on the stairs. That's impossible to fake, guys.
Yikes.
You can't slow down your body midair. Mm-mm. He hit that motherfucker, and he hit it bad.
Maybe get off the couch.
Kudos to both these guys. I mean, this feud is probably the best thing either of them have ever done, if I'm being real. Like, that you might kind of tilt your head at that.
Better than anything that Punk's done in AEW.
You might tilt your head at that because Punk has been in a lot of great feuds. I mean, when I think back to Punk's greatest feuds, I don't think of anything AEW. I think about him versus Cena in the summer of Punk. I mean, that's clearly the apex for him as a performer.
MJF was pretty good. That was about the only thing to really kind of compare.
Yeah, that would be, but this, I mean, has been, aside from some nitpicks about how much focus there was on the bracelet in match number 2, I thought that they pulled it back in a pretty cool way this time, and I expected McIntyre to still have some beads in his mouth when he took the GTS and to spit the beads.
Yes.
I thought that he still had some in his mouth. Yes. But either way, I won't say that this match was spoiled for me, but, you know.
You can go ahead and say it.
I talked to Steve Patterson.
Yeah, man. Throw him underneath the bus.
Beloved brother-in-law of mine.
BFR Security.
I love Steve Patterson with all my heart. I do. I asked him not to spoil this for me, and he said, but you know who won. And I go, no, I don't. And he's like, it's WWE. You know who won. And it's like, motherfucker, I just asked you not to spoil it for me. I'll find out if he still listens to the podcast like he says he does.
Right.
You know? But either way, yeah, I can't say anything higher about this. This was an A+. It was fucking awesome.
The one part where I thought McIntyre was going to win when he low-blowed him, and I was like, oh, son of a bitch. Nice. And I'm like, okay, this is where, Drew's going to take over and end up winning this match. And like I said, I would be lying if I said I was not rooting for Drew. I knew I was picking CM Punk, but I was rooting for Drew. That's how invested I've been in this.
Full disclosure, we got back from hanging out Friday night. We went out, and Aaron was taking a shower or a bath or something after we got home because we were at the casino, and she smelled like cigarettes. And I was like, I might be able to sneak in this Hell in a Cell match. And I turned it on, and she came out about 15 minutes later. So there was still a lot of time left. But I will say that while I was watching it, before Steve spoiled it, before Steve told me that Bruce Willis was dead the whole time, I was thinking, oh, CM Punk's going to win this match. It did seem like CM Punk. Immediately, I was regretting my pick, my picks were terrible this week. I was 2 for 5. Talked about it last week, how Zach and I were not on the same page. That's obvious because Zach was 5 for 5. And Jason was 4 for 5. But either way,
fucking Finn Balor.
Fucking great match. Great Hell in a Cell. Exactly what it should be.
Yes. So couldn't agree more. Next up, in the unfortunate spot of coming after this Hell in a Cell match, you had Bayley versus Nia Jax for the WWE Women's title. Felt like a lot of Nia Jax here, and deservedly so, because obviously, as the more physical, dominant woman, I would prefer to see that if you're going to have Nia as the champion at this point. You built her up, so you might as well let her run with it for a little bit. Obviously, the biggest intrigue of this match was Tiffany Stratton coming down in a position where could she or could she not cash it in. Depending on how you look at it, she was going to cash it in. From my perspective, I didn't think she was going to. It just so happens the referee turns around and Tiffany's right there with the briefcase handed out or facing out or whatever the case may be. So it's the question of would she or would she not have cashed in? We'll find out, obviously, on Friday night. But this, like I said, any match coming after this would have just been a bit of a disappointment. This was more so of a disappointment for me personally, and I'll just speak for myself. If you're just going to let Nia Jax wipe the floor with Bayley, then just do it. Ultimately, we got the result I thought we were going to get. Bayley coming back, okay, I get it. I just rather have Nia just kind of just be done with Bayley, because ultimately it's not about Bayley. It's about Nia and Tiffany Stratton. Bayley just happens to be the foil of the day at the moment.
Zach, what did you think?
Yeah, typical Nia Jax pay-per-view match, weakest match on the card. Not surprising. Bayley did her best.
Oh, shit.
I want to know I want to know if Nia Jax told the agents or told Hunter or told anybody in charge that she was going to try that Hurricane Rana.
Here you go. See?
No, I honestly want to know if she told them. I don't know if you listened to last week's pod, Zach, but I finished that Moxley book and a big fan of it. But
I did. I appreciate the fact that you didn't listen to it on 1.5 either, because I did the same. I listened to all my audiobooks on 1.5, but Moxley, I got to hear his cadence.
Yeah, and when you listen to that book, it's like it's a good reminder that even as tight of a ship as WWE seems to be, those guys are on their own out there. People call audibles, people try stuff, people go for that brass ring. And if Nia Jax did tell somebody that she was going to try that Hurricane Rana, Or if they practiced it earlier in the day, I want to know what that Hurricane Rana looked like, because the Hurricane Rana that she tried to pull on Bayley was poor fucking Bayley having to try to sell that shit, man. And the announcers, I mean, this match was a hunk of shit. Nia Jax is really bad.
That Hurricane Rana was Milton how it actually landed, and the plan was Milton how it would have landed, worst case scenario.
Very topical, but a very good analogy. There is no doubt that she had vision. She was probably thinking about it all the last night. That motherfucker sucked. I texted you guys and I said, someone show me a GIF mashup of that Hurricane Rana and Tongaloa's 619. Just botchamania, dude. Anyway, they tried hard. Listen, I respect the effort. You know, Bayley, I'm on record as saying Bayley is great, like legitimately great. This is a tough dance partner. I was entertained by it. And I liked the way the after angle was done. You know, I wasn't expecting Tiffany Stratton to cash in, but it does, you know, it perks up your ears when somebody comes out to cash in. You're gonna watch it. So, yeah, this sucked. What's next?
Oh my God, that's amazingly funny. Finn Balor versus Damian Priest up next. Finn Balor obviously turned on Damian Priest at SummerSlam, building up to this match. This was good, not great. Somewhere in the middle is probably where it ultimately lies. Damian Priest winning shouldn't be a surprise. I'm not sure why the fuck I picked Finn Balor, to be perfectly honest. Honestly, Balor, 2 world heavyweight champions, former world heavyweight champions. Finn Balor kind of feels like, I guess that's why I picked him. It feels like he's the forgotten world heavyweight champion versus Damian Priest, who's more of the most recent former world heavyweight champion. Keeping Priest is strong. It makes sense. Not sure. He's not getting Gunther anytime soon, but you keep him strong for whomever comes up down the line. I'm not sure what this says for Finn Balor, if he's going to be stuck with, I shouldn't say stuck with JD McDonough, because JD McDonough is actually a really good tag team wrestler and a really good wrestler in general. I don't know if this means he's going to be in a tag team land for a little bit, but I thought this was good, just, you know, on the predictable side, that's all.
Zach?
I had higher hopes for this match, and overall, you know, it's like the pay-per-view started great, and then we had the Nia match, and I'm like, okay, well, this is like understandably a downer. I'll just keep reading my Star Wars comics. It's fine. And then we had this match, and I was like, it was fine. It was kind of short. It was kind of a Raw match. I don't feel super strongly about it, but I don't think this felt like a big blow-off, like Bad Blood situation comparatively to the opener. Nothing shined to the opener throughout the whole pay-per-view, but this had the biggest chance of doing it, and it fell flat in that regard, but I don't also at the same time have anything negative to say about the match. It was just there, and it was fine, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll say it was there, it was fine, but I think the wrong guy went over. I understand that Finn has the tag team belts right now. He's got one of them at least, and you know, it would putting him over Priest. It's like, well, then why do you have him have the tag belts with McDonough? But I was, you know, rooting for Finn really hard. But yeah, this was a good Raw match. Raw's had some really good matches lately. This was a good Raw match.
Yeah, and that I was going to say that's not a disrespect to Raw. Raw has been more than interesting as of late.
You know, when you come third on a card that's got this first match and that main event, you might be a little hamstrung as to what you can do, you know, because those guys are pretty particular about not repeating spots and not having stuff that's similar. So
I don't know. Every fucking match had a run-in, so I don't know how particular they were, because literally every fucking match had a fucking run-in. So.
I mean, that's a really good point.
Who ran it? Nobody. Well, okay, never mind. I guess Hell in a Cell.
He was like, okay.
Yeah. I was, rationalizing it in my head.
I
It's
know
Hell in a
exactly.
Cell.
I did the exact same thing in my head. I know exactly what you mean. I did the same thing in my head.
Yeah, Hell in a Cell. I guess that, the cell's the whole reason, dumbass. Next up, speaking of cells, or in this case...
That way it kind of put the cell over. I mean, that they had...
Which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That just reinforces the idea that the fucking
Look
first
at
match
this.
is
It's mayhem every other match.
How do you keep mayhem out? You bring in the cell. And in this case, it totally makes sense.
Talking about mayhem. The next match.
Yeah, and then not in a good way either, at least as far as I was concerned. Arguably one of the worst returns ever, but we'll get to the match itself first. Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley for the WWE World Women's Championship. Liv Morgan, obviously the champion. Dominic in a shark cage. This was pretty good, even up to the point where you saw Dom getting hung out. That was obviously, not as bad as it possibly could have been. I think maybe they might have lowered the cage a little bit. I'm not sure. I get everybody, gasping because it did look a little dramatic, but God forbid if he fell, we were not dealing with a blue blazer situation here by any stretch of the imagination. To me, the biggest problem with this match is who you use as the muscle for Liv Morgan. Raquel Rodriguez makes sense. If you watch NXT in the past, Raquel Rodriguez dethroned Rhea Ripley on the way to Rhea Ripley going up to the main roster and getting the rocket put up her ass and boosted up to stardom, while unfortunately for Raquel Rodriguez, she has not gotten the same fate. Now, using her in this situation, okay, if you want to play the connect the dots game, I totally get it. It has history. Triple H does his homework. Okay, fair enough. Now, all that being said, Tonga Loa was probably looking at Raquel Rodriguez when she came out. I was like, God damn, you fucked that shit up. She came in and had no clue what to do. Couldn't figure out what she wanted to do with Liv Morgan after she did after the attack. Okay, I get it. It's a way to extend the feud. But if you're going to extend the feud, let's do something better. It has to be executed better than this. This is the only thing that really is the two things that are memorable for me about this match. Dom hanging off the upside down and Raquel Rodriguez coming in and taking a nice little dump in the middle of that ring and trying to just scoop it up and put some lipstick on it and call it something else.
What did you think, Zach? I think you're on mute.
I was just kind of like petrified thinking about Raquel Rodriguez taking a dump in that outfit. I was not enthralled with the outcome of this. We talked about it when I was on 2 weeks ago. I missed last week, unfortunately. But, I kind of expected Dom to be up there, toss something to Liv, Rhea intercepts, she gets the win. And I didn't even really think of like Rhea winning because I picked Liv really, but just subverting expectations. And they definitely subverted expectations, but like not in a way that I would consider good. Inserting Raquel Rodriguez, who hasn't been on television for a good while, is not intriguing to me. This went from the hottest feud in WWE. We had Punk and Drew and Liv and Rhea as the hot feud. This went from the hottest feud and the hottest wrestling company in the fucking world to like really kind of nothing at this point. Like, I'm not nearly as intrigued coming out of this match as I was going into it, which is a negative effect. And I don't think I'm being smarky with that. I think I'm kind of speaking to the general audience. I could be wrong.
Listen, Damian Priest dropped out of the Judgment Day. He's no longer in it. And they replaced him with another big gender fluid Hispanic. It makes total sense.
Jesus fucking Christ. Holy shit. You ate shit. I ain't gonna sing it. It's all capital letters, no period.
I have no problem with Raquel Rodriguez joining Judgment Day is just fine with me. I mean, the match was
Marcos Cayue.
What did you say?
Marcos Cayue.
What the fuck?
Mark Calloway, but this is Spanish affectation.
I'm like, what? Yeah, well done.
This was a spectacle. This was fun. I'm not nearly as down on this as I am on the other women's match.
No, this was horse shit, dude. Come on.
They should have had Dom hanging above the ring and him hanging down, and while Liv gets pinned, him and Liv grab hands and they're holding hands. Now that, give me the pencil. That would be good stuff, right?
Better than what we got here, okay? I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Raquel Rodriguez did little for me in NXT. Wasn't a believer then. Damn sure ain't a believer now. She's just going to be.
She should be a heater, though. Like, her being a heater makes more sense than her being a, top of the card babyface or heel.
Fine. If she's got to play the Camille, I guess I'll go that route, then so be it. China, so be it. But for a minute, she just needs to sit on the back burner and just, simmer for a little bit. Maybe we can find something for her to do, because right now, this ain't it. She drove up in the car, couldn't get out the damn car on Raw. I'm like, God damn. You cannot fuck up it back-to-back segments.
I'm not getting
You just can't. You can't. It's just, okay, I'm done. Main event time, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. No step on the match, but obviously we knew at some point the Bloodline was going to come out. Interesting that at the very beginning who was going to start the match. Not like it matters, but watching Cody and Roman trying to figure that out was interesting. From that point, it felt like a normal WWE tag team match. Roman kind of turned, quote-unquote, a little baby face during the match. Obviously, it doesn't get really interesting until, at least for me, the Bloodline comes out. Never thought about Jimmy Uso until all of a sudden you see this hooded figure. I see this hooded figure in the background. I'm like, son of a bitch, Jimmy Uso. So, obviously, Jimmy comes out to save the day. I was going to say the Bloodline, but Roman and Cody to help win the match. Cody jumping off the top as a sacrifice to Roman Reigns. Obviously, I think comes back to play later on, post-match, where we can talk about that as well. I thought the build for this match was good. The match itself was good, not great. Obviously, you have your spots. But for me, everything that was interesting happened post-match, and we could talk about that.
Zach?
Yeah, you're correct. Everything that was interesting happened post-match, and it was, I don't know, like, I'm just sitting there, and I'm watching Bad Blood, and it's fine. And the opening match was, like, so good, and then everything else is, like, kind of fine. I'm like, okay, here we are for the main event, and, like, I legitimately just got fucking tired. Like, it was, like, a half an hour. I don't know if I'm being a dick, but I was just like, this is just like a really long Raw main event. It wasn't anything special. And I kind of expected The Rock return, so I'm not going to be a dick about it because the live crowd went crazy for it. So, like, it was very effective. But the match itself was just kind of a Monday Night Raw main event, which was really the story of everything except for the opener. I don't know if I'm being redundant, but that's just kind of how I felt. And this was a longer PLE than some of the others. A lot of them don't overstay their welcome. They're 3 hours and done. This one, I feel like, lingered a little bit longer because of that. And maybe that was why I felt the way I did.
Listen, this is one of those things where There's all sorts of different kinds of fans, and we are the type of fans that watch every pay-per-view. We watch every television show. We fucking talk about it. We think about it. There are 12-year-olds out there that don't get to watch every PLE, and I have to remember, I'll speak for me, that the pageantry is a huge part of it. Entrances are a huge part of it.
I totally thought about you.
But for somebody
they're probably the most important thing, really.
But for somebody that watches it all, Cody and Roman just take so fucking long to do anything. There is that everything takes so fucking long. And then they added a band and they added the orchestra and they were cool. It was cool. There's no doubt it was cool. But it's like it's as long as a fucking episode of The Wire. A fucking match between these guys. It just takes so fucking long. I thought the entrances were cool. Jimmy coming back, it's kind of like, listen, I was totally entertained in the moment.
Agreed.
But it's like, oh, now Jimmy's coming back to save Roman to close out a pay-per-view, huh? It's like, they've done that. That's already happened. Like, you can't just keep having Bloodline guys go away and then come back. Well, it's like, yeah, actually you can. That's the whole story now. Some guys go away and then they come back. Jimmy comes back. Rock comes back. Roman comes back. Everybody's coming back all the time. Guess what? We're in for a lot more coming back, too. Guys are coming back.
Yeah. Definitely.
That being said, except for the meat and potatoes of the match, which was boring as all get out, this was very entertaining.
Agreed. I would be lying if I did not.
I will say that spot that Cody took is you guys in his position don't necessarily have to take that bump. That is a massive bump.
I'd prefer that my world champion rather not do that unless it was a scenario.
That was wild, to be honest. Like, at least
if it's a world title match, by all means.
That is a huge bump for a guy in his position to do.
Yeah.
That's.
I did love the salute to Roman Reigns before he did a bump that Roman Reigns would never do.
Roman Reigns would never do that.
I'm not saying he would never do that, but he's done something similar too. I'm not going to get into semantics. It's fine. Roman doesn't need to do that. Cody doesn't need to do that. Neither here nor there. Cody did it. I popped when he did it. So ultimately, it works. Neither here nor there.
I mean, Roman wouldn't do it. There's just no way Roman would do it. He just would not. He could not. I don't think he could.
I don't know. He is very athletic, but he would never.
Okay, see, now we're arguing semantics. Could he, or would he? Like I said,
what did the Rock?
Could, but he would not.
What did the Rock mean by the 1, 2, 3? Does that mean he's taking out Jimmy, he's taking out Cody, and he's taking out Roman? Jimmy seems to be.
I thought it meant a three-way between him and Cody and Roman.
I would be more interested in that than The Rock versus Jimmy at any point. I don't think they'd do that. I guess they could do that, like that Saturday night's main event or something, like to pop a big rating. But I
feel like it's Cody Roman WrestleMania. Cody Rock WrestleMania. But Cody, Roman, Rock, Royal Rumble. And then Survivor Series is the old versus the new Bloodline.
I mean, a three-way that's Cody versus The Rock versus Roman. I mean, I think The Rock could probably pull a good match out of those guys.
Man, you crazy as hell, dog.
Fucking 25-minute long match, 18 minutes of them just standing around looking at each other.
Stop. Good God, man.
Eyebrows twitching.
Yeah, right. What kind of grade do you give it, Jason?
We didn't talk about the Kevin Owens portion of the program.
Oh, nor did we talk about Gunther and Goldberg.
Oh Oh, man.
That was actually one of the best parts of the show.
Okay.
That actually increases that whole letter grade.
I totally forgot about that. I didn't write it down. Dealer's choice, Bill. Which do you want to talk about?
Well, I thought that the Gunther Goldberg thing, if they had that planned when they had Hitman on a few weeks ago, even better for them. Gunther coming out and calling Goldberg a one-trick pony is just fucking
beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
I was like, holy
I mean, how many times better of a wrestler is Gunther than Goldberg? Like, it's astronomical.
I was like, 100. Yeah, I was going to say 100. I was like, that's what just makes it
I think
even
it's more.
better. I was like, God damn.
And
I was like, man, you better sit your old ass down. Don't come up here and get embarrassed.
Sami comes out and saves Goldberg. Zach, I'm assuming you liked it, huh?
Oh my God, I popped so big for that shit. I was like, oh my God, they've got Goldberg in the audience, which I understood it was Atlanta, so like it makes sense. Like he probably still lives down there because he lived down there since his fucking heyday. Because he's like the ultimate fucking guy who wears Letterman jacket to his local bar. He was cool once, and he's just riding that fucking wave. But like Gunther, I think the thing that made it even sweeter was that he fucking bodied Bret Hart, who is Goldberg's nemesis, and Goldberg in the same month, in the same 30-day period.
It's pretty badass. Just with absolute disdain for both of them.
Okay, fuck your couch. I dare you to say something about it. Shit. That shit was amazing. I thought you were gonna go with the Kevin Owens portion of the program because obviously you're Kevin Owens' president.
I still haven't seen it. I've only heard about it, but I mean I get the gist that it was fan caught. Like I guess that Cody and Owens started fighting in the parking lot, and I'm sure WWE filmed it. I mean, for all we know, they filmed the thing that got leaked or whatever, but it was purportedly fan video of Kevin Owens turning on Cody. I understand that they're trying to tell stories in different ways and trying to adapt to new storytelling devices. This seems to me like they might have overcorrected a little bit. Like that kind of shit should be on television. I get they're trying something different. And listen, this take will probably age very poorly, and they'll probably get better at stuff like this. But to me,
this should be good.
No, to me, this is just I would rather see this happen on television with the lights on. Zach, what do you think?
I feel like if it was AEW, it'd be a more valid criticism because I feel like AEW does this too often, where they do stuff online and they don't show us on TV, whereas WWE never does something like this. So the fact that WWE is so hot and has so much engagement, I feel like it kind of works better for them. But we'll see.
They're kind of playing with house money too, because this is a story that they can certainly tell on TV, but nobody thinks that Kevin Owens is going to take the belt from Cody. So if they can kind of have this as a feud for Cody, of course, Cody is focused on Gunther now at Crown Jewel, but they can kind of use this as television also. So I guess in that respect, there's less risk.
I'll give my KO take, and then we could talk about Crown Jewel, and then move on if we want to. I don't have a problem with how they did this. To me, this is 2024, and if this was truly in kayfabe style, Cody and KO fighting in the parking lot, you grab your phone, you record it or whatever the case may be. So in that scenario, totally get it. For Cody Rhodes, that kind of needs some sort of jump start to his post title win. This is a good thing. So I mean, we're talking about it, and everybody's talking about it. So they talked about it on Raw. So obviously it'll be some sort of culmination on SmackDown. You would think they're going to have to at least cross paths. So I mean, this being done is a good thing. How they're doing it, I don't necessarily too much worry about it. You did talk about Crown Jewel. Triple H did come out, and I did forget about this as well. Instead of Reigns versus Cody. Like I rumorly read, we're going to do men's versus men's champion, women versus women champion. So as it stands, unless something happens between now and Crown Jewel, Cody versus Gunther, Nia Jax versus Liv Morgan. Probably more so of a reason why Raquel Rodriguez has been brought in, but another story for another time. Obviously, Cody versus Gunther is the match that most people, and I'm sure the three of us, want to talk about. Any preliminary thoughts on Gunther versus Cody?
Yeah, I look forward to every single Gunther match. I'm looking forward to this match too. The fact that, that they add a belt to it, it's like, well, okay. It's like, I don't give a fuck about that belt. Like, that belt doesn't mean shit to me. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I would like Tiffany Stratton to cash in on Nia Jax before Crown Jewel, because I think that when Tiffany Stratton cashes in on Nia Jax, she's going to be, she has a chance to be a pretty big babyface. So Tiffany Stratton versus Liv Morgan is way more interesting to me and will be a better match than old Nia Hurricane Rana Jax versus Liv Morgan. So those are my thoughts on it. Do not care about the belt.
God damn, you ain't shit.
It's not a real belt. It's the FTW.
It's the FTW title. Totally.
All right.
It is not a real belt, but goddamn, that belt was beautiful.
I'll give the pay-per-view a solid B.
B minus.
C plus.
Man, it had one of the best matches of the year on it. You guys are tough.
That's the only thing that carried it.
Ding, 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 ding.
Let's get to that 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
All right, so Zach's a little out of pocket this week, so I'll take the 2 count. We'll go ahead and we'll go WWE, AEW, WWE, AEW. So we'll do AEW television this week.
I like where your head's at. That was a nice audible.
Rampage did have the Elite versus Shibata and Private Party. Shibata and Private Party go over. We've seen better Young Bucks matches, but this match was pretty fucking fun, I thought. Did you think so, Jason?
Yeah, for sure. Private Party, I think, I shouldn't say for whatever reason we ultimately figured this out, but I guess because either or Private Party, remember, has been hurt for extended periods of time, you forget, at least I've forgotten how good they are as a team, and now they've been together as a team for a while. It's only been probably a couple of months, but still just long enough to where oh yeah, these guys are good. So in this scenario, not overly surprised. Obviously, they are going to face the Bucks at WrestleDream. We'll talk about that obviously more. But no, this was a good match. All bullshit aside.
Zach?
I'm sure the WrestleDream match will be good. I feel like we needed a little bit more oomph behind Private Party if that's going to be the pay-per-view match. Really, they showed a clip of Private Party beating Young Bucks 5 years ago, and then they're literally not only in the same position, but maybe in a worse position than they were 5 years ago. And it's just kind of a testimonial to, I don't know, AEW, or at least Private Party not becoming stars. I'm not excited for this match, and I should be. I'm going up there to watch it live. I'm sure it'll be good, but this is not a highlight of my 2-hour drive.
Yikes.
We'll skip ahead to Collision. Darby Allin versus Johnny TV. Darby Allin goes over. Darby Allin, I don't know what Johnny TV did to anybody to be relegated to the role that he has in the current wrestling world, but nonetheless,
to the stars.
Be old.
Yeah, he's not that old though. He has a birthday this week, and he's exactly my age. So, motherfucker.
Jobber.
But Darby Allin cites the open challenge. We can talk about all these Darby Allin, Brody King segments. Brody King comes out to answer the challenge, and they open up basically Dynamite with an in-ring promo with each other. What do you think about all that, Jason?
Honestly, when they broke up the fight between Brody and Darby on Dynamite. I'm now rooting for Brody King even more. I mean, look, if Darby Allin's going to talk all this cash money shit, you're going to take my spot. Okay, fine. Open challenge means anybody can come out. Brody King makes sense. Connect the dots. They have past history. Fine. You going to pick up a Rock? Come on, man. You
little fucking punk.
Okay.
Man.
You going to pick up a Rock.
That's a little punk kid.
At that point, dude, I'm done. And I know Darby's always going to be a babyface. I get that. That just rang wrong to me as one of your biggest baby faces that feels like he's supposed to overcome the odds and beat, guys twice his size. You gonna pick up a Rock?
Zach, you're a big baby face. Have you ever hit anybody with a rock?
Not lately.
That's a great answer.
Yeah, Darby does not come off like a babyface here, though.
No, you can't hit somebody with a rock. I'm looking forward to this match. I think Brody King's the shit. Darby Allin.
I'm rooting for Brody King.
Yeah.
Whoop his ass.
Okay, so I know the Outrunners are the hot team here, but the Outrunners face your grizzled young veterans in the second match in Collision, and the Outrunners go over grizzled young veterans.
Why are the Outrunners not wrestling the Young Bucks? That would be way more exciting than Private Party.
I mean, that's 100% true.
Okay. First and foremost, as the duly designated representative of the grizzled young veterans, obviously I'm displeased by the outcome of this match. Total surprise. I'm not even sure. I'm getting a little discouraged about what's happening with GYV early, but that's neither here nor there. I'm being nice for once, for Christ's sake.
Or grizzled young veterans facing the Young Bucks. Like, they could have done that too. They just decided not to.
Yeah, that too.
I'm not sure if anybody else, the two of you know this, but the Outrunners are tag team champions in a smaller organization. I can't even remember the name. I'm not sure.
ROH.
That's good shit.
That's crazy.
Nobody can fact check it either because nobody knows.
Dustin and Sami, damn you. Okay, I don't even watch. I still know they're the tag team champs. Neither here nor there. I guess the point is that it hasn't been done well enough to now merit discussion. I guess that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah. So Wheeler Yuta cuts a promo. Mariah May cuts a promo. Wheeler Yuta beats Beef. And Willow Nightingale beats. Oh, I didn't have her beating Trisha Dora. Shit. Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly versus the Premier Athletes. This was Hologram goes over Nick Wayne. Oh, Hologram goes over Nick Wayne, Action Andretti, and Commander. There's a Beast Mortos promo, Statlander squash, and then finally, so I'm just going through the whole show. That's how it was pretty missable, unless Jason's got his hand up.
I want to stop at Chris Statlander for a second.
Please. Where'd Stokely Hathaway go?
1. 2, now that we've split them apart, why did we even have the Willow-Chris Statlander feud? Because now Chris is going to flip back to babyface, clearly, because now you're facing her against Camille, obviously before Mercedes Moné, I would assume. I was getting personally invested in Chris Statlander as a heel. Now, if you're going to do this, that's fine. It's Tony Khan. Do what you want to do. It's your fucking mosh pit. Knock yourself fuck out.
Seems like a knee-jerk reaction to Britt Baker probably being hurt again, right? Like they pulled the ripcord.
That's not good enough. There was not even. It would be different if Chris Statlander lost the Willow Nightingale match, and then this is the result of it.
Your whole vibe on the AEW women's division is funny because you're not so much angry, you're just disappointed in it all the time.
Look at all this goddamn talent.
I'm just making an observation.
Look at all. It is ridiculous.
Right.
This is
fair,
booking 101. Connect the dots.
There's only one women's match on this card, huh? I'm looking at WrestleDream. Well, they got the right two chicks fighting each other, which is Mariah May versus Willow Nightingale.
Okay, fine.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, the division is stacked, but Mercedes Moné has not panned out. Really, we've been looking at a few bad months of Mercedes Moné. That's a big part of it.
I enjoy women's wrestling. I'm a fucking bleeding heart, progressive, like real deal that's hard over here. Like at the same time, give me wrestling I want to see. It's probably the appropriate ratio. I don't know. Maybe I'm a dick.
Oh, no.
Cancel me.
No, right now for AEW? No,
yes.
No doubt. No doubt about it.
I agree with you on that. There's nothing even on, and this is not a knock against Mariah May, okay? Obviously the world champ. No, it's not. It's not a knock against Mariah May, but there hasn't been a woman that TK has built up to where now you can, if you're holding off on Jamie Hayter, that's fine. That's the one that should be getting immediate recognition. If you're going to hold on like that, that's fine. But then if you're holding off on that, you can't do the usual TK booking where you get somebody hot just to have them get knocked off. This needs to be going over long term.
That's wrestling booking.
It can't be about just Willow Nightingale, but then if you're going to have her go over Willow Nightingale, you got to have the next person already ready, so that way it just feels like, oh, this feels like an immediate threat versus, oh, so-and-so's getting heated up for fill in the blank.
We're going to talk about Private Party later. Private Party wins the triple threat to become the number one contender against the Bucks. They beat House of Black and Top Flight. Pretty fun match.
It's
a 3 beer beats Bill Baggy special.
Yeah, it really was.
House of Black gave 0 fucks here. Like they're just like, we're losing.
Yeah. But we will talk about Private Party later. They do have we'll just talk about them now. They have a segment on Dynamite where Stokely Hathaway comes out and he's like, hey, why don't you guys hook up with me? And they're like, no, we don't need you. You know, fiery babyface stuff. That's cool. Dynamite starts off with Moxley and Bryan Danielson both cutting basically parking lot promos. This is tremendous stuff. Let these guys do this shit all the time for every match. Moxley and Bryan Danielson. Jason, what did you think about these promos?
You know, Any Given Sunday is one of the worst football movies I think I've ever seen in my life. But the Al Pacino scene where he talks about the inches in life is one of the scenes that gets repeated very often and gets the football team ready to go out for battle, and they ultimately win this game. Mox is one of those motherfuckers that could talk to me, and then I'll be like, okay, so we're killing who? Fair enough. I cannot understand where he comes up with some of this motivation for some of these promos, but by the end, I felt scared for Danielson. Legitimately scared for him because now Moxley has him in his crosshairs. He's getting ready to fuck him up, or at least that's what he says. But more importantly, if I was like a Moxley follower, I'm not sure if they're called Blackpool Combat Club anymore, but I would be following that motherfucker blindly. He is so good. This was just another really good Moxley promo to set the stage for this episode and WrestleDream.
Zach, I want a yes or no question. This is a podcast. I want you to take a stand here. Is Moxley the best promo in wrestling?
Yes.
I fucking love it.
That was without hesitation.
I love it so much.
Legitimately without hesitation. And I'm not even I didn't even just not hesitate just to take a stance, even though you called me out. Legitimately, Jon Moxley embodies pro wrestling unlike any other person. I'd say the only other person that even fucking comes close is Bryan Danielson, and he's not even all the way in it because Bryan Danielson, he's got kids and he's got injuries, and that's all he fucking talks about. You know what Broccoli doesn't talk about? He doesn't talk about any of that shit. He only talks about pro fucking wrestling. And I'm not saying that's a weakness on Bryan Danielson. I appreciate where he's coming from, but Moxley's the same age and he lives and breathes this fucking shit. There is nothing more important to him than pro wrestling, and you can fucking see it. He's the fucking greatest. He is maybe like the MVP of our fucking entire podcast run. From 2019 to now, Moxley might be the most important figure in that situation. That's how highly I think of Jon Moxley.
Damn.
He says stuff that's hard to argue with. He's been very consistent. He has
his contribution to AEW.
He has basically been the guy in two different promotions.
He's the ace of AEW. I think we can all agree upon that.
Yes, he is the ace.
So then
we
we had the Darby Brody King. Okay, so let's talk about this. Lance Archer, Don Callis has made a trade with Jake the Snake Roberts. Not sure of the logistics on this. Didn't see any Mel Kiper Jr. breakdowns.
Oh, shit.
But
did he trade fucking Kyle Fletcher for some 99 bananas?
Yeah, right. He traded. He acquired Lance Archer and gave Jake the Snake Roberts LFI, basically, which is Roosh, Dralistico, and the Beast Mortos. I'm not sure why they had to frame it as a trade between those two, but, I guess I enjoy that they're actually telling the story instead of just hooking guys up with guys and not giving us any reason for it. What do you think about Lance Archer and the Don Callis family? I'll go first. I love it. Jason, what do you think about it?
I'll go next. Who gives a fuck?
Oh my God!
I'm sorry. You take time. You take time to do this, but you can't explain Chris Statlander. Get the fuck out of here.
Zach, what do you think about it?
I did not expect him to say the word Jake the Snake Roberts because I'm just like, oh, he's still there.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Who cares?
That part is very funny. At the same time, I think that the Don Callis situation. Whether or not you like the handling of it, I do think because of the people involved, which are all of the most burgeoning stars in all elite wrestling, which is Will Ospreay, Kazuchika Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, it is the most intriguing because it involves them. So I'm intrigued and I'm down for that reason.
We get.
I think Ospreay we should take off that list. He's past, he's a superstar.
Well, and later on we had the official implosion of the Ospreay-Callis relationship. Konosuke Takeshita gets involved in it. Will Ospreay and Don Callis are no more, and we're getting that triple threat match on Saturday.
Talk about the longest breakup ever.
By far, well, A-Town Down Under is still breaking up.
Look, I was being sarcastic, motherfuckers. Damn.
I'm just messing with you.
I know. Calm down.
It's hard to think of a more fun trio of dudes that are going to have a triple threat match together than Will Ospreay, Konosuke Takeshita, and Ricochet. Yeah. Very much.
The only thing you could do is throw in a Beast Mortos and a jar of Vaseline. That's the only thing you can
do. So we are also getting on Saturday Mark Briscoe versus Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho invoking the name of Mark Briscoe's recently deceased tag team partner and brother, Jay Briscoe. And now we get Serious Briscoe. This is a big old check mark in my book because the Briscoes, when they were serious and less goofy, seem legitimately crazy, for one, and two, are very effective as professional wrestling characters. Zach, where you at on Serious Briscoe? We'll wait for your prediction.
Absolutely great. Every time, I feel like it's been a long time where the Jericho match has been anything but skippable on a pay-per-view. He's there every pay-per-view. He's there every week on TV. And I get it. I understand. Yes, brother, you get paid a lot of money. Tony Khan pays you a lot of money to be on TV and to be on the pay-per-views. Maybe you should take some weeks off, but that's not what is being asked of you.
Zach is basically looking directly at Chris Jericho and saying,
"Shut up, bitches."
Yeah, but him versus Mark Briscoe is the most excited I've been to see a Chris Jericho match since Wembley last year when he wrestled Will Ospreay, and that was only because of Will Ospreay.
Yeah,
so,
it was by default.
By default, yeah. So I'm going to the Tacoma Dome. I'm going Saturday. I'm driving.
Oh, yeah, that's
2.5
right. You're fucking
hours.
going. I forgot.
BFR correspondent's in the house.
Yeah.
Yep. So
oh, man.
I'm trying to find some parking there.
You got a stacked motherfucking card, dude.
Asshole.
It's a really good card.
Daniel Garcia cuts out a big promo about that he's staying with AEW. I'm just assuming that this is going to play into the MJF story somehow, because
Definitely.
I have to admit, I did not think it never crossed my mind that Daniel Garcia was going anywhere other than AEW. I didn't know his contract was up. They might have talked about it. I probably missed it. But he just doesn't strike me as a WWE type guy. It seems like, maybe he would do well in that. He might do really well in NXT, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But I love it.
I have a feeling, I didn't mean to interrupt. I have a feeling Daniel Garcia is a future top guy wherever he is. And I think there are other people that feel the same. I don't know, but I think interest was high for him from the other side because we saw a number of weeks with him not on TV, which is pretty indicative of what we see with Tony Khan, where if there's a chance that guys are leaving, unless you're Andrade, he's not going to put you on TV. If you're Andrade, he'll have you almost win a fucking tournament because I don't know, he's a fucking Andrade sim. I don't know, but anyway, Daniel Garcia, he's been a sleeper hit, and I think it is now that he is signed. I would expect us to see a pretty big push for him.
I'm excited for a Daniel Garcia push.
If I saw this correctly, Garcia, Swerve, Lucha Brothers, all contracts in AEW were coming up. So I think that might have been part of the reason why we didn't see Daniel Garcia for a while, wrote him off storyline because of how MJF left him, and then obviously him coming back, losing to MJF in the pay-per-view or whatever the case may be, and now you have this. So this might be just a scenario where things happening behind the scenes played out on TV and now continue to play out as it goes along. All that being said, this is probably all roads leading to MJF, which we have to have some sort of resolution to before both guys move along. More so for Daniel Garcia, if there's any sort of plan to have Daniel Garcia be a singles top guy, just even to be a mid-card champion, he's got to look good somehow, some way in this MJF feud that seems to be on the horizon.
I know that Chris Jericho, it really rubs him raw that people say that he just likes having TV time. And I know he seems really bothered by that. He's really leaning into it, which is why it's not surprising at all to see him with a boring-ass segment that had no point backstage with Rocky Romero. What the fuck is this, Jason?
No clue.
All right, that's, you know what?
Yeah, I got nothing. No clue.
Zach, any thoughts on it?
No, like I said, how can we ever miss you if you never fucking go away, brother? Just take a fucking vacation.
Jay White squashes a dude and then cuts a promo on Adam Hangman Page. They are fighting on Saturday. Also, very exciting.
That seems, as much as I am very interested in that, and it's not like it was just them together. There was a build, there was an angle, right? I mean, this is something that actually has some history. I don't know if you guys remember back with New Japan where Jay White just eviscerated Page in one of those press conferences when Jay White was fresh from being a young boy and really started being a big deal. I think it was US champion. But anyway, this feud has some fire, and I feel like AEW is capable of telling more of a story than they have with this one. I'm thrilled to watch it. I think it adds to the pay-per-view card, but this is probably the beginning of something greater, and hopefully they begin to tell that story more. But these guys have history, and they're both fucking fantastic. Spoiler alert, really hope Jay White wins.
Jason.
I'm not going to say give the prediction just yet, but I'm very, very curious how Tony Khan uses Jay White upon his comeback.
I got a big old prediction for this one. Big old prediction.
I'll just say this. If this is going to be
stay tuned for some fireworks.
Right. If this is going to be a Jay White babyface run, I'm not sure if that's going to really work. It didn't. At least Jay White kind of said that in the post-match promo. You know, I hear you guys cheering me. You know, you just booing me a few months ago. Good on you, Switchblade. I ain't mad at you for that. This should be a good match. I'm just, like I said, I'll be curious to see how Jay White is used going forward.
So the Hook who attacked Taz mystery deepens. Hook, Hook, he gets mad at Kip Sabian, and the patriarchy comes out. It would make sense if Christian was the one behind Taz getting attacked with the whole dad angle. Any thoughts on this?
None.
Okay. Zach, any thoughts on this? I'm happy to keep it moving.
Zero.
Zach?
Yeah, that's fine.
Brian Danielson and Wheeler Yuta face the Blackpool Combat Club.
The Black Combat Club.
That's great.
Moxley gets involved. Danielson and Yuta go over. Jason, what you think about this? Did it further the story at all?
I thought so for sure. Obviously, you had the already walking in angle of trios champions on separate sides. Moxley comes out towards the end of the match, so you build towards Danielson and Moxley on Saturday. I thought this was a good match. I was curious on how they were going to have the finish because obviously Danielson can't get pinned. I was more than a little surprised to see Little Brother tap out. Pac, obviously, post-match, Claudio putting the beat down on Little Brother takes away any thoughts of having Wheeler Yuta turn on Danielson at any given point. But no, honestly, I thought this was a good match. It took a while to get going once you got the more of the angle, like I said, between the trios champions. But then when Moxley came out, obviously that's, when the juices really got going, and now you had all kinds of tension on multiple different levels. So in that scenario, good match, not great, but I was surprised by the end, and I would be lying if I said otherwise. Pac tapped out quick like a motherfucker, too. So I was like, damn, we ain't even going to have no drama to this shit? I was like, so whatever. 3-Beer, what you got?
I want to be fair. So I shit on WWE for having too many run-ins. So I got to say, on the AEW side, there are too many people in factions or like in teams that are teasing, turning on the other members. And this is like the biggest one for sure, but there's like a lot of others. So I am not crazy interested in Yuta comparatively to where I was a couple weeks ago. I think it's like pretty obvious where it all ends up, but I am intrigued for the match this weekend. But Blackpool Combat Club, it'll shake out where it shakes out. It's just not too intriguing to me.
I guess I'd rather them drag this part of the angle out, the trios champion part of the angle out. If you're going to have Wheeler Yuta out of the group, then that's fine. But it just feels like we pulled the trigger on that maybe a week, 2 weeks too early. Maybe that's just me.
All right, we'll have your WrestleDream predictions coming up. That's going to do it for our 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, what's the 3 count?
3 count. Let's jump back to the WWE side of the program for a second. We can run down SmackDown fairly quickly. opens up with the returning AJ Styles versus Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes gets the win as AJ Styles apparently turns his ankle during the match. I'm going in the assumption that this is a storyline going forward where this is AJ's feels like this is going to be his last swan song in WWE and maybe even wrestling in general. Obviously, the last time we saw him was the I Quit match, at least in WWE, was the I Quit match against Cody Rhodes. Now he's come back. It just feels like this. I'm not sure what is left for AJ to do at this point, so I'm curious to see where this goes. But win for Melo. Melo wanting to get a U.S. title shot gets dropped by LA Knight later on in the match, later on in the night. But you could talk about the match, AJ versus Melo. What happened?
AJ did a really good job of selling this. I pretty much knew it was a work the entire time, but he did a really good job of selling it. Nice little feather in the cap for Carmelo Hayes. I'm interested to see what they do with AJ Styles. Does he have another title run in him?
No.
Zach?
No. There's too many top guys. AJ was the highlight of WWE when it was shit. And there's just too many guys for him to carry it again. He could do it again in another smaller promotion, but his top guy days are done. But he is still awesome.
They do have a working relationship with TNA. It would be fun to see him.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that would be the perfect
fight
setup.
Alexander or something like that.
Have him go over to TNA and retire there. That I would love to see that. That makes all the sense in the world. Chelsea Green versus Michin in a dumpster match. Michin goes over. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I am a huge Chelsea Green mark. I love her character. She's good in the ring. If there's any thoughts of still having a mid-card championship coming out, Chelsea Green needs to be involved in that in some form or fashion. Naomi defeats Tiffany Stratton. The curse of the Money in the Bank strikes again.
I mean, Chelsea Green is as easily as good of a performer as Liv Morgan is. So, I mean, I could see Chelsea having a run at the top sometime.
She needs to challenge one of those belts. She either needs to be a Miss Money in the Bank, or if they're ever going to give us a Women's Intercontinental.
Yep. I mean, yeah.
I'd say start with there. I'm not disagreeing with the Chelsea Green for world champion comment. Not even because I'm a mark. I think her because character is so important in WWE. I think her having that is half the battle. People react to her.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If she can put on good matches in the ring, to me, I could see her somewhere down the line. If you told me 2 years down the line Chelsea Green was world champion in WWE,
and that being said, I don't give a fuck about this dumpster match.
Neither do I. Naomi beats Tiffany Stratton, and then in the main event in a triple threat ladder match, which was actually pretty good, even with BFR's own punching boy Tonga in the match. Bloodline defeats Street Profits and DIY in a really good ladder match to retain the WWE Tag Team Championships. Three Beard, did you get a chance to put eyes on this or no?
Unfortunately, no. Thank you, Hulu.
That means fuck you, Hulu.
Pretty much.
Not a sponsor. Yeah, this was a really fun match. They never really sold me on the fact that anybody was going to win except for the Bloodline, but I mean, that doesn't matter. It was really fun.
That was an entertaining way to close the show on SmackDown. Let's jump over to Monday Night Raw. First Monday Night Raw, 2-hour Monday Night Raw, and it felt like 2 hours because shit was moving quick. I was like, wait, hang on. Slow down for a second. I got to catch up. Punk comes out. We talked about
a 10-woman tag.
Yeah, right. Punk comes out and talks about his uncertain future as he's leaving, as he's finishing up Seth Rollins interrupts him, which I thought was perfect. It just, throws a little reminder, hey, if you haven't forgotten, these two have beef. Seth bumps Punk down, going the way down to the ring, basically calling out Bronson Reed as he does so in his promo in the ring. I'm excited for even the thought of Seth versus Punk. Obviously, it's not going to happen anytime soon. I'll start with you, 3 Beer. When do you want to see a Punk versus Seth Rollins initial match?
Royal Rumble or WrestleMania seems appropriate. Some big show, a big 4.
So I would assume they would cross paths at Royal Rumble. I'm just talking about the one-on-one match. When do you think that's going to happen?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it just depends on how they want to rush it. I would say probably WrestleMania, if I had to guess. It would be WrestleMania.
Yeah, WrestleMania.
Okay, fair enough. It makes sense. I mean, I don't see a reason to push it. And if you come up with a scenario, say Seth costs Punk the title, I think that would be enough of a motivation in kayfabe style to have Punk be like, okay, you know what? Fuck you. Now you got my attention. You got a WrestleMania.
Well, let's see it.
First actual wrestling, the opening match on Raw for the Intercontinental Championship, Bill Vegas' own Xavier Woods versus the current champion, Jey Uso.
Dog. That's my dog.
Actually, once again, I thought Xavier Woods put up a pretty good match in ring. No doubt that Jey Uso is going to retain. The miscommunication between the New Day continues, and that spills over post-match as Bron Breakker spears the dog shit out of Jey Uso. Kudos to Triple H. You got me. I thought he was flipping babyface. Shame on you, Jason. Where's the cynical Jason I know and love? Braun spears not only Jey, but Kofi and Xavier Woods just for being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm like, okay, why was I even thinking Bron Breakker should be a babyface? This is the Bron Breakker I know, or at least this is the Bron Breakker I want. Better choice of words. Bill, we can start with you. Thoughts on the match? Thoughts on Bron Breakker destroying everybody after this? We got some dogs in the house.
Yeah, this was, the match was whatever, but the post match was really good. They got me. I loved it. I loved it that they took a whole week just to fucking just let it marinate.
Son of a bitch.
Well, who knows? And now he's back. He's back at it. I expect him to take that belt back from Jey Uso. Zach?
Oh yeah, he's a big time babyface. Like, I don't know that he'll take it off of Jey Uso, but he will take it back soon enough.
Can I throw somebody out there that I would love to see take the title off of Jey Uso?
Who?
Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah, that would be. That would be great.
That would work really well.
Would love it. What was next?
Rhea Ripley cuts a vignette basically saying shit's not over. Vignette from Pure Fusion Collective. Triple H with talking about the crown jewel, title versus title, or champion versus champion, blah, blah, blah. Actually, one that was kind of funny, Miz backstage talking to Karrion Kross, telling him that his Jedi mind tricks won't work. Poor R-Truth comes up, just, God bless him, so oblivious. It feels like I want to give Truth a hug sometimes. That ends up becoming a match for next week, heel Miz versus R-Truth. I'm not sure what's going to happen here, but ultimately, good Miz equals heel Miz. Bill?
Yeah, but I mean, yes.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
No, it's better to have Miz as a heel, but I mean, I also don't care.
I know you don't give a shit. I thought you were going to say something. That's the only reason I stopped. Probably this is the place to stop. Sheamus versus Pete Dunne in a good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. Hate the name of it. Love the fucking match. I wish Pete Dunne would have went over. Unless Sheamus is going to be the guy to take the Intercontinental Championship, because this is the only title he ain't won in WWE, I don't necessarily understand why Pete Dunne didn't go over here. It's a perfect opportunity to do so if you have any thought of making him any sort of name character, name wrestler in WWE. Perfect guy to do it. It's not going to hurt Sheamus. I don't know. It was disappointing to see Pete Dunne get built up to just
This is what he was getting built up to. He was getting built up to have a fun little feud. I'm sure Sheamus said, hey, I want to have a feud with this guy. And they were like, that's fine, but you're going over, because they can always put putting Sheamus into an intercontinental feud or something like that is more believable than Pete Dunne. It just is. He's established. He's a badass.
It is a bummer because this was kind of a microcosm of, are we to that next generation of WWE? And I don't know if that's fair, but it does seem like a microcosm where, like, can they put Dunne over Sheamus? And the answer was no. But it was disappointing.
Oh, how are you going to establish somebody if you don't establish them? I mean, this was the time to do it. Sheamus, I mean, I get
broke my brain, dude.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Pete Dunne beating Jey Uso. I was thinking about. I was like, that feels like it might be a little stretch. The Bruiserweight Pete Dunne, the NXT Pete Dunne, that motherfucker beats Jey Uso.
Longest reigning NXT UK champion until Gunther, who was the longest reigning NXT UK champion, and then the longest reigning Intercontinental champion. Like, I feel like Trips was very high on Pete Dunne, but
I think he still is.
At the same time, he still is. But, like, I don't know if he sees a ceiling. You know, he was high on Ciampa and Gargano, and I mean, it's not like they've been setting the world on fire since he took over power. You know, it's like, I feel like there's this, maybe it's because WWE does have a lot of legitimate stars and they're not so worried about making new, younger ones. Not Ciampa Gargano, but Dunne, you know. But they're also all doing that. I mean, Bron Breakker is a young guy. So, you know, I don't know. It's just our NXT darlings are not doing what we think they should. And I'm not going to be mad because they're still doing legitimately crazy business. So it's not like they're doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
But it does suck to see the Bruiserweight not, you know, he's a pro wrestler plying his trade.
He's a pro wrestler plying his trade. That's right.
Hey, man, don't encourage that motherfucker. Keep saying that shit. It's actually a really good line. Cody and Sami have a little interaction backstage, teasing a possible crown jewel match. Obviously, we'll talk about more of that in a little bit. They talk about Last Man Standing from a couple weeks ago. Judgment Day. I shouldn't say Judgment Day. Liv, Dom, and Raquel Rodriguez with a horrible backstage promo. Ethan Page and Sexy Red make it make sense on Raw, not unless Ethan Page is coming up. It doesn't make sense. The aforementioned 10-woman tag match. Poor Lyra Valkyria. I felt bad for her. Just no love for her getting the dub. It's just like you can almost hear a pin drop, but the baby faces win here. Damage Control ultimately are going to challenge Bianca and Jade for the tag team titles. That was going on the assumption that Lash and Jakara Jackson don't beat them on Friday night. But obviously, what we're here to talk about, the main event, Sami versus Gunther for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther finally giving in to giving Sami Zayn what he ultimately wants. And this was all that I've been waiting for 2 hours and then some. No doubt that Gunther was going to go over, but god damn, this was a good ride. A couple of times where I was like, this is not going to happen. No, he kicks out. But nonetheless, I thought Sami Zayn, a wrestler applying his trade, got me invested in the match good enough to where it was predictable, but the match itself overshadowed the fact that it was still going to be Gunther retaining. Cody and Gunther meeting post-match, staring eye to eye was a nice little way to tease Crown Jewel. Probably sure that's the match that's going to happen first. I didn't even think about Tiffany Stratton cashing in, but we could talk about that in a little bit. Either or you guys want to talk about the main event, you can jump in.
I mean, I thought the main event was really, really, really great. They did. I mean, it was dramatic, but they never quite had me buying into it. But I'll watch Gunther and Sami. Each time it's gotten better. I thought that this was tremendous. Maybe the best of their three.
Always fantastic. Ultimate, top guy, big guy, dominator versus ultimate underdog babyface. Really two of the best to fulfill either roles. And, you can't really ask for better casting in that play.
Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for our 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
Bonus count. We're going to do 4 count, just because it feels wrong saying odds and ends because it was a big show. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to watch it. But there was some news coming out of NXT. Randy Orton fought Javon Evans in the main event. I did see the clip of when they tried the corkscrew into the RKO, and they couldn't quite get there. They had big plans for a big RKO.
Whew. Yeah, it looks like Javon kind of slipped off of the top, which obviously for that kind of move, not only do you need to execute it, but you got to get the height to do the corkscrew. Came off a little flat. You saw what they were trying to do, and that was going to be, if they pulled it off, a viral moment for Javon Evans, but it didn't work. Shit happens. Once again, it wasn't like Randy Orton was going to lose that match. They were going for one big spot, and it just didn't work. So it sucks that it happened at the main event spot, but ultimately nobody's going away mad. Orton comes home. He gets the dub. Javon Evans looks resilient in the loss. Everybody kind of walks away still to win.
But Orton was on this. This was at the factory in Chesterfield, Missouri, a place where I saw King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard. So I kind of feel bad about not watching it just about a month ago. Have I mentioned that band to you guys yet?
Never.
Axiom and Nathan.
You guys didn't go to Raw or NXT. Neither one of you guys went.
No.
Motherfucker, I went to SummerSlam. I'm above Raws now, okay? Raw is beneath me.
I'll tell you what, I forgot it was 2 hours until the main event came on. I was like, oh, fucking yeah.
Right?
So, A-Town Down Under jobs out to Axiom and Nathan Fraser, and what I read was a good match. But here's the big one. Tony D'Angelo completes his Rocky III arc and defeats Obafemi. So, Obafemi is no longer your North American champion. It is now Tony D'Angelo as the plucky babyface. Jason, what do you think?
I would be lying if I said I wasn't stunned. The roll-up victory is a nice way to, I guess, protect Obafemi. Ultimately, it opens up Obafemi to go after Trick, which I've been wanting for a while. But Wesley did throw his head out there as well. So having two guys chasing Trick ain't the worst thing in the world.
There's a triple threat next week, which is Wesley versus Javon Evans versus Ethan Page as the number one contendership. I wouldn't mind seeing Obafemi just come out and destroy all three of them.
Fuck this shit.
That'd be great.
He's moving up in the card. He lost his belt to move up. Or, they could put him on the main roster. I don't think they're going to yet.
No.
But,
No.
And then, Stephanie Vekor makes her debut with Julia in a segment with Roxanne and Cora Jade. And Jey Uso makes an appearance at the beginning, too. Anything to say about this, Jason?
Curious to see how they work Stephanie Vekor into this title chase with Delta's vignettes, slowly but surely having her coming closer to NXT. It's going to be interesting to see that. Jey Uso coming out. It's a good way to get the crowd hype. I will say this. I was very intrigued to see Trick Williams, Jey Uso, Bianca, Jade Cargill, Kalani Jordan all in the ring at the same time to close out one of the opening segments. I'm not saying that, they're responding to criticism, but they might be just saying, hey, look around and just responding a little bit to the criticism.
That's fair enough. Anyway, NXT is good, and I plan on watching it next week.
NXT's been really good lately.
That's the rest of my commentary.
Did you guys see the Triple H and HBK press conference?
Heard about it. I think that's what Jason was just referring to about the lack of black wrestlers at the top of the card.
No, they just did a kind of a reboot of. They did a State of the Union address on NXT, kind of like they did in 1997 or 98, with the whole I did not sleep with that secretary. I was up all night, they did.
No, I did not see that.
No.
They did one of those things, which was great because it was them 30 years later trying to be hip. It was pretty good.
Oh my God.
I was talking about something totally different.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so this Saturday, Two Beer Zach Bowman's going to be in attendance. We have WrestleDream. So there are 11 matches on this card if you include the pre-show. The pre-show match.
Whoa, hang on. I've totally, before I forget, we have a guest predictor this week.
Oh, yes. Please tell us about our guest predictor.
So, long story short, I thought this was going to be a week that Bill was going to be off for band practice. Obviously, not the case. So,
no
as
PTO
I was
over here,
as I was trying to cover the tracks
disappointingly
to make sure I was not going to speak by myself for a couple hours, I asked a friend of the show, Michael Wallace-Seals, to come in and possibly co-host. Fortunately for all involved, Micah is I believe they're in Detroit tonight, watching Game 4, Detroit versus the Cleveland Indians, and then obviously you have the three of us here. So I said to myself, why not have
Guardian?
Why not have Micah give his predictions? We did it once before with Blood Girl Waving. We're doing it again this week, and moving forward, we're going to come up with a plan to have a guest predictor every week, starting next year, everybody, so don't get all excited. We're going to come up with a game plan. We're going to pick one person randomly every week so you can pick against the quote-unquote experts and then battle us week to week as we go along in the predictions. But
Experts.
We'll talk about that as we go along.
I was 2 for 5.
And if anybody
experts in
beats
quotations.
Bill, if anybody beats Bill, he's going to kill himself on the podcast live.
But if I beat anybody, I get to chop them.
Yes! See, that's what I'm talking about. We need time to think about it.
For the ROH TV title, this is on the pre-show, we have Atlantis Jr., who's your current champion. Everybody knows that. Versus Brian Cage. Did Michael Wallace-Seals pick this one?
No.
Okay. Who you got, Jason?
Jesus Christ. I don't want to be the who cares guy, but I mean, who kind of cares? I'm going to pick Atlantis Jr., I guess. Safe pick. No real indication that they have anything going on with Brian Cage. It is ROH. They have, deals with other independent wrestling promotions. Atlantis Jr.
Zach, who you got?
Sure. That sounds good.
Yeah, I'm taking Atlantis Jr. also. Sorry, Micah, but if you leave a question blank, it is wrong. Next up for the ROH World Championship, we have Serious Mark Briscoe versus Chris Jericho. Zach, who you got?
Give me Mark Briscoe. I do not see Jericho being the Nueve in this situation.
I, too, am taking Mark Briscoe. It would be really fucked up to just have Mark Briscoe. He drops his brother's name and then Mark Briscoe jobs to him.
Oh, dude, I would be like, man, hell no. You need to jump off a bridge immediately.
Who you got, Jason?
You better be Mark Briscoe. Goddamn. What's this? WrestleMania where Booker loses to fucking Triple H after Triple H basically makes all
Calls
the
him
races.
his slave.
Right? I'm like, ain't no way.
I already wrote it down, but I'm guessing Micah has Mark Briscoe.
Micah only did WrestleDream predictions, so anything.
Isn't this? That's from WrestleDream.
this was done yesterday, so I don't know if he did the Wikipedia deep dive like you did.
Okay, we got Darby Allin versus Brody King.
Okay, got that one.
I'll go first here. This seems like Allin seems like he hasn't won in a while, I guess. I don't know. I'm taking Darby Allin just because he never loses. Who do you have, Jason?
I'll give Mike his pick. He has Darby Allin as well. As much as I want to disagree with you guys, I really can't see that. This is once again, there's an opportunity for someone to be established, and you have the established person that if they did lose, it wouldn't hurt them. But I can't see TK doing it. I'm going to take Darby Allin.
Zach, who you got?
I got Darby Allin. I really like Brody King, but I mean, it's Washington. Darby needs a win. He hasn't won since like him and Sting retained the tag team titles, I feel like. So
up next for the I forget what title this is for, but we have Jungle Jack Perry versus Katsuyori Shibata.
AEW.
What's it for?
TNT.
Oh yeah, it's for the TNT Championship. Ooh. I host a podcast.
I know that's right. That motherfucker said, it's like, look at the headlines. He's like, I don't know.
Jason, who do you have?
Once again, my head and my heart will battle in this match as well. My heart says Shibata. My head says Joe Jack Perry. Somehow, some way, probably in some fuckery fashion, gets the dub and retains the TNT title. I got Jungle Jack Perry.
Who do you have, Zach?
Yeah, it's Jungle Boy.
God damn it. We're just all the same here. Jungle Jack Perry, I am taking. Michael Wallace Seals.
He has Jack Perry as well.
All right. So, up next, in a triple threat match, we have Little Bill Ospreay versus Ricochet versus Konosuke Takeshita. Zach, you are up first from least to most. Who do you have?
This is maybe the hardest pick of the whole night. It's very hard. Shit. I don't even know. It's like a total toss-up. I feel like it's not going to be Ospreay for storyline reasons. So, do you give it to Ricochet or to Takeshita? I'm going to go with my heart here. I'm going to say number 1, Takeshita, most likely. Number 2, Ricochet. Number 3, Ospreay as least likely.
Wow.
All because of Don Callis.
Jason, who do you have?
Okay, not what I expected, but it's a nice little twist. Similar, but obviously not the same. 3, I got Ricochet. I'm sorry to say that I got the sneaky suspicion he gets pinned in this one versus actually winning the title. 2, I'll take Will Ospreay. Hard for me to even say that Will Ospreay is going to lose a match, much less lose a title. But number 1, it's at a certain point. This is the time to pull the trigger on Konosuke Takeshita, right? I mean, amazing G1 run. We've been waiting. I've said he should have been the international champion before they changed the title, and now we're here. It is time to pull the trigger, make Konosuke Takeshita a champion. I got Takeshita as number 1.
I, too, have Takeshita as number 1. I have Ricochet as least likely, and I have Will Ospreay sandwiched in the middle. That's exactly what you had, right, Jason?
Yes, that's what Michael Wallace Seals has as well. Let's take a step back. Give him Mark Briscoe over Jericho, and give him Atlantis over Brian Cage.
All right. So none of us have Will Ospreay as retaining there. All of us have Takeshita at number 1. Up next, we have the Young Bucks versus the Private Party. I'll go first here. This seems a little rushed for me. It doesn't seem like the moment to put it on Private Party. I hope that I'm wrong. I guess the Elite doesn't need this, and Private Party, let's see what they do with it. But I'm taking the Young Bucks. Who do you have, Jason?
Both Micah and I have the Bucks as well. I'll just speak for myself. I think the Bucks ultimately drop it, just not drop it to Private Party. There's just not enough cachet to make me think that this is going to be, some sort of major catastrophic event. I mean, God forbid, if this does happen, we might not get 3-Beer back. I mean, he cannot see the Bucks drop the tag titles in person to Private Party. So for that alone,
could be traumatic.
I'm going to take the Bucks.
Who do you got, Zach?
I've got the Bucks. I am hoping for a Golden Lovers return at the end of this.
I mean, it's the only way that would make this a little more interesting. Outside of that,
it would really. It's the only thing that would make this Young Bucks tag team run interesting, because legitimately, they are the best tag team, but them holding the belt has not been particularly interesting.
Ooh.
Yeah, but the thing about the Golden Lovers coming back is that Ibushi's done, right?
I won't say he's done, but I would need to see him in the ring first before we start putting chips in the middle like that. His last match was not good. I mean, barely could stand, much less move. And now you're talking about having Kenny Omega, who's coming off a major surgery as well. It just, don't get me wrong. In the dream world, I'd love to see it. I got to see them at least take a couple bombs, throw some shots, something like that before I even start.
If they come back,
road.
They should change their name from the Golden Lovers to the Golden Girls.
Stop!
Because they'd be old as fuck, man.
Oh, man. The Blanche is younger than us.
Yeah, I don't care. Mariah May versus Willow Nightingale for the Women's Championship. Zach, you're up first. Oh, sorry. Did Micah have the Young Bucks there?
Yes. Both
Zach, who do you got?
I'm going to go with Mariah May. I don't think it's one of those, moment here as far as, a build-up to her taking the title. Willow's great, and she's over. I just don't know that it's there yet. I feel like Mariah really hasn't told the story of her having the championship yet, so I'm going to stick with Mariah.
Jason.
Stone Cold Lead Pipe Lock of the Week. I'm going to take Mariah May here over Willow Nightingale. Willow has kind of backslidden a little bit as of late. Dropped the CMLL title in a blink. Looked up. She had the title. Looked back up. She don't have the title. Hard for me to see her beating Mariah May when Mariah May's story is just getting started.
Yeah, I guess it's my Stone Cold Lead Pipe Lock of the Week, too. I am taking Mariah May also. Yeah, it's just not time yet. We are falling into a very old pattern of us all having the same picks, but it is AEW, and we've also talked about AEW. Seems more predictable these days. Now, we might have some difference on this one. We have Switchblade Jay White versus Hangman Adam Page in a grudge match. Okay, I'm going to go first here because I got this big booking idea, okay?
Shoot.
Did Micah have Mariah May?
Micah had Mariah May. Micah has Jay White here.
Okay. I also have Jay White, and my thought...
I got it. Yeah, break this shit down.
So I think that... Who is Adam Page's number one nemesis in the world? It's
Swerve.
Swerve Strickland, right? Who was just on Dynamite talking about how Swerve... The only problem with Swerve was that his management. It had nothing to do with Swerve as the performer. MVP. You got Shelton Benjamin back. I think that the MVP Shelton Benjamin, whatever it ends up being called, interferes with this, costs Hangman Page the match. They present it to Swerve, who's going to be there at the pay-per-view. Like, look what we did for you. Swerve is going to deny it because he's a babyface. And then next week, Bobby Lashley comes in and fucking crushes Swerve. And then we get a Swerve Bobby Lashley program.
You and Michael Wallace-Seals must be on a wavelength because he did say that Lashley was going to attack Swerve, but not next week at WrestleDream. Okay. Sorry, 3-Beer. I'm just going to take this ball.
So that's why I'm taking Jay White. And then Jay White can stay a heel because he did cut a heelish promo, like Zach said earlier. So then Jay White, can stay a heel and have a big win.
Makes all the sense in the world. I love hearing it. Unfortunately, I'm going to be one of the dissenting votes. I'm not sure if 3-Beer will be with me on this one, but I'm going to go with Hangman Page on this one. I would love to see Jay White do it. Huge Jay White fan, has been since the New Japan days. The AEW run has been start, stop. I just think this feels like another, not even a start. Just, here's Jay White. He's got name cachet. Let's bring him on over to Hangman Page. Keep Hangman Page hot. So I'm taking Page on this.
Zach, interested to hear you got.
I am going with Jay White. I understand Jason's sentiments. I do think that Page coming off that Swerve feud is very hot, and he is a top guy. But I feel like this is maybe, hopefully, the ascension towards Jay White being a top guy, and Adam Page being a stepping stone to that.
Wow.
Next up, we have MXM versus the Acclaimed in the hottest feud in all of pro wrestling.
That's on the main card.
It says it is.
What the fuck?
That's what Wikipedia said.
Wow. I didn't even know this was a match.
Who do you got, Jason?
Okay. I guess I'm taking the Acclaimed on this one. MXM, I do like. They're good. Just comedic tag team, kind of outrunners-ish. Just not as over, I guess. I don't know. They're both actually kind of over. Why you both?
That is the most accurate description ever. Outrunners-ish, just not as over.
Well, I mean, they get a huge crowd reaction every time they come out, and they're actually good in the ring. Outrunners the same way. But all that being said, this feels like the Acclaimed spot to get them back on track. On what track that is, I'm not sure, but I'll take the Acclaimed.
I would love to take MXM here,
I know you
man.
would.
And
Go ahead.
I'm thinking about doing it.
Go ahead.
Thinking about
Go
doing
ahead.
it.
Nut up or shut up.
For the
it.
content.
Nut up or shut up.
You fucking pussy.
Nut up or shut up, man. You hate the Acclaimed so much, bet against them.
No, I'm taking the I can't see MXM going over the Acclaimed. Come on now. Who you got, Zach?
I got the Acclaimed.
That's amazing.
I'm guessing Michael Wallace-Seals didn't pick this one.
He did not pick
That's
this
a big
one.
old X.
You ain't shit.
Nobody knew it existed.
Right?
All right, so we have Hologram versus the Beast Mortos in a best 2 out of 3 falls match. So, guess Tony didn't think the pay-per-view was going to be long enough. Who do you got, Jason?
God, I'm like, have we built it up to where it needs to be 2 out of 3 falls? Did I miss the Mortos and Hologram feud to now all of a sudden? Come on, man.
Who you
Damn.
got? Who you got, Jason?
Hologram, Jesus.
Who do you have?
It's going to be great 2 out of 3 falls, though.
Who do you got, Zach?
I've got a Hologram. Really, if you want to make a match better, you just put the Beast Mortos in it. So.
Who do you have, or does Micah have this one picked?
Hologram.
Okay, so, I had Hologram written here, and I crossed it out because I'm thinking, Hologram is undefeated for 2024, and the Beast Mortos just joined forces with Jake the Snake Roberts and the LFI. And what better way to try to get them over as a dastardly heel faction than to break Hologram's undefeated record and have Mortos go over with shenanigans. I am taking the Beast Mortos in this one. I feel good about it.
I love where your head is at just for...
Hologram don't lose, though. And then finally, really interested to hear about this one from you guys. But we have Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley for the World Heavyweight Championship. If Danielson loses the championship, he has said that he is going to become a part-time wrestler, basically. Would that be a fair characterization of what he said?
Yeah, that's fair.
Zach, your turn. Who you got?
I have Jon Moxley, and I just think that whatever Brian's got going on, I think this is a short-term situation. I never really saw it as long-term. He's going to go get his surgery, get healed, and then he can do the matches that he wants to do on his own timeline. AEW is not obviously not financially struggling, because you guys have talked about that and the news is broken. AEW is here strongly financially for the next 3 years.
Oh, yeah, you didn't get a chance to talk about that. Do you want to talk about that?
I mean, that's just kind of the baseline. It's we can talk about it and pretend that maybe it'll go away in 3 years, but they're strong now. And as I say, they didn't have a billionaire owning them before this, but they're strong financially. They're doing fine. But they are a distant number 2. And I think one thing that they have shown, Jon Moxley is the ace, and let's put the belt on the ace. Let's let him carry the company for a little while. Dale can go get, healed up, whatever he needs to do. But I think it's Moxley time.
Jason.
I hate the fact that other people make sense and dissuade my thought process on my prediction. To me, this was an easy layup for Danielson, and now 3 beers made a shit ton of sense. I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna stick with Danielson. I would love to see this incarnation of Moxley be the World Heavyweight Champion for all the things that he's done up to this point. This new character, but feels more scary than Moxley's of the past. Danielson's impending surgery should be done sooner versus later. If that's going to happen, there's not much of a better person that could be World Heavyweight Champion in AEW than Jon Moxley. That said, I'm going to take the conservative pick. I'm going to take Bryan Danielson.
Who does Michael Wallace-Seals have?
Jon Moxley.
Damn, I too am taking Moxley for all the reasons that I assume Micah is saying, and for all the reasons that Zach said. We talked about it. When he won at Wembley, we said, yeah, and then he's going to drop it at WrestleDream. We assumed he was going to drop it back to Swerve, or at least that's kind of what I was thinking. But
apparently, according to Meltzer, which, regular green assault, whatever, apparently the idea was for him to actually drop it to Darby at WrestleDream, and it'd be like a passing of the torch to a younger generation. But plans change.
Yeah, and do you expect us to get a huge angle? Either way on Saturday night? Is Shane McMahon going to show up? And he's been the one. It doesn't seem like Moxley would be the type of guy that would be working for a Shane McMahon. But I don't know. Do we see Shane on Saturday?
I'm going to say yes.
That's not why I bought my ticket. But whatever.
I'm going to say yes. If not Saturday, then Wednesday would probably be the drop dead date that I would say you would have to really capitalize on the heat. If Moxley wins, the one way you can really cement Jon Moxley as a heel is if you bring in someone from the hated WWE to say that he's been pulling the strings over Moxley. Shane and Bryan Danielson, a.k.a. Daniel Bryan, have WWE history. If you lean into that, that takes care of itself.
Is there any way that Christian walks out with the belt on Saturday night?
No.
Oh, that's a baby. I give it 15%.
Yeah, I'm probably less than that. It doesn't seem like it'd be that kind of show. Christian coming in and taking the belt off of Daniel Bryan would not be a fitting end to his, full-time career. And if Moxley wins, you wouldn't go heel on heel. So I don't see it. I don't see it.
The only way I could see it is if Danielson won and then Christian came out, cashed it in, and won like that. That seems some Christian shit to me.
And then Christian retires Bryan Danielson? Doesn't. Nah. I don't see it.
I'm just saying.
Zach, did you want to share any of your thoughts on the Mr. McMahon documentary?
Yeah, I watched it with Tara, my wife, and she was so mad because she didn't know any of this stuff, and it made her think less of me and pro wrestling. So for that, I am sorry that we bonded and watched the show. But
did you tell her there was other stuff going on? I kept having to tell Aaron. I was like, there was other stuff going on at the time. It wasn't just all Mr. McMahon slapping asses and kissing asses and everything. Like there were other things happening.
And I wasn't really watching during the time period that they really focused on. I was, like as far as like him being like a super creep on screen. But, none of the stuff from a pro wrestling fan base was surprising. But I feel like it was just enough for a casual person that doesn't really know anything to watch it and get outraged and then maybe learn a little bit more about why they should be even more outraged.
Right.
And it was not a hit piece, and it was certainly not a puff piece. I feel like it kind of, even though they could have gone deeper into every little scenario, because like there could have been a whole episode on Montreal School Screwjob, a whole episode on the Owen Hart death, a whole episode on the, so many Benoit, so many different things. But it did kind of create this situation where he legitimately is one of the most interesting people in Americana, and he is simultaneously the greatest wrestling promoter to ever exist, and also an incredibly complicated and despicable person. And so for that, I feel like it did a pretty admirable job of showing how terrible and also like good people could be. Not that he was good, but he was good at what he did. I don't know. It was fine. It was kind of an achievement, I thought.
I thought so too. Dusty Rhodes would have been 79 this week.
R.I.P.
Tara is telling me now that we did not bond over the McMahon doc. We have already bonded. So, sorry. I didn't realize. I hadn't recognized the initial bonding. I thought it only happened during the McMahon doc. All of the other bonding.
That is such a woman statement. Right, motherfucker, hold on, motherfucker.
None of it counted. If you say you bonded over Mr. McMahon, none of the rest of it counted. Rikishi is 58 this week. Taz
I'm going to scream, it was me in her ear next time.
Taz is 57. Ricochet is only 36. Rhea Ripley is 28. Riddick Moss, remember him? 35. Karen Jarrett, only 52. Nikolai Volkov,
I'm pretty sure it's RIP.
would have been 77. Stacy Keibler is 45. Tama Tonga is 42. Justin Credible is 51. And Kenny Omega, the aforementioned, is 41 years old. Hey, everybody, we know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to our podcast. For Tender Mahal,
Check.
for Vice, for Murray
Check.
the Murray Man Murray,
Check.
for Lucha Chris,
Check.
for Patriot Pat,
Check.
for Brett Jagger,
Check.
for Guest Predictor Michael Wallace
Double check.
Seals, for Two Beer Zach Bowman, for
Check.
Jason Cornelius Bell.
Can you drop
I
bitches?
am Bill Vagey.
Check.
Black Lives Matter.
Check.
Support your local restaurants.
Check.
Support your local weed dealers.
Double check.
Free Palestine.
Triple check.
Call your parents
Check.
and never, ever forget to boo the heels.
Boo!